American League Championship Series. Tonight, Game 6, the Seattle Mariners versus the New York Yankees.
Last night at Shea Stadium, as the Mets wrapped up the National League pennant, many of the fans arrived at the game on the 4 train. Tonight, I should say on the 7 train. Man, oh man, don't ever make that mistake in New York. It's the 4 train that on the L will bring you to the Bronx. That's how many of the fans are getting here for Game 6 of this series between the Yankees and the Mariners. And just about everybody in New York is expecting to take the 4 or the 7, depending upon which ballpark, to a Subway Series. Hoping to derail that notion, though, are the Seattle hope Game 7. And welcome to Game 6 with Joe Morgan. I'm Bob Costas. Let's get this straight. You come into Yankee Stadium, you take the 4. That's the L. You go into Shea Stadium, you take the 7 train. Something else about this series. Each team has suffered through long droughts, punctuated by big innings.
Well, neither team has been consistent offensively, but they've both used big innings to turn the momentum in their favor. In Game 2, it was the Yankees. They had a 7-run 8th inning after losing the first game. That put them into command. In Game 5 was a 5-run 5th inning by the Mariners that extended this to the 6th game. And tonight we'll have to see which offense shows up. Someone will have to step up because A-Rod from the right side was big, and Edgar Martinez was big from the right side on Sunday. John Olerud also added a home run. But against a guy like El Duque, you're going to have some left-handed bats in the lineup because he's very difficult to hit from the right side.
Hernandez was a subpar 12 and 13 during the regular season. But once the calendar turns to October, he responds. Nobody has ever put an L next to his name in the playoffs or World Series.
Well, the great thing about him is that he hides the ball very well in his motion. He has the high leg kick, but that's not just for show. That hides the baseball. Then he throws 3/4. He'll drop down even more, throw some sidearm pitches. He throws from a lot of different angles, and he will throw all of his pitches from those positions. And what that does is really causes a problem for the right-handed hitters to pick the ball up out of his motion. That's why the left-handers are going to have to be successful for the Mariners tonight.
His opponent tonight, as he was in Game 2, is John Halama. Halama was 14-9 for the year. He beat the Yankees twice during the regular season. And as you see, he threw 6 shutout innings, allowing only 5 hits in Game 2. When he left, he was on the long end of a 1-0 score. The Yankees won it against his bullpen, so Halama got a no decision.
Well, he matches up well against the Yankees, first because he's left-handed. Second, because he has a changeup and a great overhand curveball, and he can spot his fastball. Those are the traits that Lou Piniella feels you have to hold this Yankee offense down.
And speaking of Lou Piniella, here he is with Jim Gray.
The Mariners have proven that they can win 3 games in a row. They did it in '95 in the divisional series. Now 1 down, 2 to go. Are you getting a little annoyed that everything that you see around here is already talking about a Subway Series, Lou?
Well, they're excited, naturally. This is New York, and the Mets did their part yesterday. Now the newspapers and the media in general are hoping that the Yankees do theirs. But what I said prior to and say now is, why not an all-wild card World Series? That's never happened in baseball.
Purists will love that.
No, they won't like it, I'm sure. But still, the Mets played very well against St. Louis and against San Francisco to get here, and hopefully we'll do the same here with the Yankees.
Now, you're taking a bit of a risk tonight. You're going with all left-handers. Is that the only way you feel you can score some runs against Orlando Hernandez?
Well, we feel our matchups are better that way. Hernandez has been exceedingly tough on right-hand hitting all year, and we've loaded up with all our left-handers. We've mixed and matched all year, so basically this would be a lineup that we would play during the course of the season.
Seattle weather tonight, that going to help you?
Let's hope so. We got some drizzly weather and it's cold.
All right, Lou, best of luck to you tonight.
Thank you.
All right, let's send it across the way to the Yankees dugout with Jimmy Roberts.
Joe, on the surface, this would seem to be a no-brainer. You've got a guy who is virtually unfailable in the postseason. You're at home, Game 6. They're 3,000 miles away, but it's also a dangerous situation, isn't it? Because they virtually have nothing to lose. They're throwing all lefties at you tonight, too.
Well, you know, again, Jimmy, it's our job to do, and we have it where we want it as far as being at home. Having El Duque has done a heck of a job for us in the past. We still need to do it. You know, it's on paper is one thing. You have to win it on the field.
Is it harder actually to be in a situation like this where you're supposed to win?
We've been there before. You know, we'd like to believe we're supposed to win all the time. I mean, that's the confidence of this ball club. and hopefully the rain stays away where we can stay out in the field and get the job done. That's what we need to do. We need to knock in runs, and we need to get the opposition out pitching-wise.
Any possible hangover from the offensive slump from the other night, or actually I should say from what we saw from them offensively the other night?
Well, I think their offense, they came alive in the middle. That's always a concern, and then hopefully El Duque can control that. I don't think we had a slump. We left a lot of guys on base. I thought we had a great approach. We just didn't get the hit when we needed to put it away. But again, that's why you have the best teams playing in postseason play. It's not that easy.
All right, Joe, thanks for joining us. Good luck tonight.
Thanks, Jim.
Bob, back up to you.
Jimmy, thanks. Now, once again, for all you tourists, it's the 7 train to Shea Stadium, the 4 train to Yankee Stadium, and that guy in Times Square trying to sell you a watch, it's not really a Rolex. Back after these messages and a word from your local station.
This has been the Sun America NBC pregame show. Sun America, the retirement specialist.
2 of the game's premier players have been featured in this series. The all-star shortstops, Rodriguez and Jeter. As you mostly know, they are tremendously good friends. They're close buddies in this series. Jeter has hit .333 with 2 homers and 5 RBIs. A-Rod .294 with a homer and 3 RBIs. The Yankees are fairly certain Jeter will be here for a long time. The M's and their fans less certain about the future of Alex Rodriguez, who is a free agent as soon as Seattle's postseason concludes. Here's the MasterCard starting lineup for the Seattle Mariners. Predominantly left-handed. Switch hitters mixed in, who of course will bat left-handed against Hernandez. The only righty bats, the 3 and 4 guys, Rodriguez and Martinez, and Wilson, their catcher at the bottom. They have no left-handed hitting catcher on the roster.
And they're taking a slight chance defensively because they do not have a true center fielder in the lineup tonight. And there's Orlando Hernandez, El Duque. And the one thing he'll have to do tonight is throw strikes early in the count. And the first time he pitched against the Mariners in this series, he was a little erratic, but he made good pitches when he needed to make them, which was kind of like Andy Pettit. He did the same thing. So they know how to pitch out of tough situations, but he's going to try to avoid getting into tough situations this time because he has more left-handed bats to face in the Seattle Mariner lineup. And let's take a look at the defense. And Scott Brocious has the only Yankee error in this entire series. So that tells you how good the Yankees have played defensively. And they've made some great plays in the field as well. So this is a solid Yankee defense that you're looking at in this ball game.
The Yankees obviously want to win tonight first and foremost, simply to clinch the pennant and not run the risk of having to play a deciding 7th game where there would be tremendous pressure. But also, should they win tonight, their pitching rotation would fall into place nicely for the World Series. Pettit would start game 1 on Saturday, undoubtedly followed by Clemens in game 2. Then they could pitch Clemens in the 6th game, and Joe Torre would never have to use him at Shea Stadium, where the pitcher would have to bat and where Clemens would be subject to reprisals for what happened during the regular season and interleague play when he beaned Mike Piazza. Then El Duque would come back in game 3, probably Nagel in game 4, and then Pettit, Clemens, El Duque if 5, 6, and 7 are necessary. It's 50 degrees as game time approaches, and there is rain in the forecast.
Bob, the main reason you do not want to face a 7th game is because anything can happen in a 7th game. A bad bounce, a wind-blown pop-up, anything can cause you to lose the ball game. And so if you're the Yankees, tonight is your 7th game. You play it like it's the 7th game.
Then I guess that goes double for Seattle. Strike 1 to Stan Javier. John Hirschbeck has the plate. Angel Hernandez at first. Fieldin Culbreth at second. Mark Hirschbeck, John's younger brother, is at third. Left field line, Wally Bell. Right field line, Jerry Davis. Chop to Brocious. Across the diamond, 1 out. Over the last 2 years, as they won back-to-back World Series and swept both fall classics, The Yankees blitzed through the postseason 22-3. They have already lost more games than that in the first 2 rounds of this year's playoffs.
Well, it just points out the fact, Bob, that they're not a great team anymore. They're a good team, and they're good enough to win it all, but they're just not able to run through opponents as they did 2 years ago and last year.
A light rain has begun to fall. Al Martin steps in. Martin's double on Saturday was the only hit off Roger Clemens in his 15 strikeout complete game performance. (2-0). This is the 12th playoff series the Yankees have been in under Joe Torre. In the first 11, they only went to a deciding game twice. In 1997, they lost Game 5 of the division series at Cleveland. Foul back 2-1. And this year, they had to go cross country to play Game 5 in Oakland and survive it. So generally, they've had some breathing room. They won't if they lose tonight. 2 balls and 2 strikes. As the raindrops fall, you know that both managers dread a scenario with rain delays where it may get to a point where you can't send your starter back out there, or if the game is called off before it's official, you used up your scheduled Game 6 starter. Full count to Al Martin.
And that's a pitch I expect us to see a lot of tonight from El Duque. That's the changeup. He normally does not go with the changeup. He goes with a fastball and a backdoor slider. But he's starting to use the changeup a lot more the last few starts, and it becomes very effective against left-handed pitching. Left-handed hitting.
With A-Rod on deck, the 3-2 pitch. Just missed the corner, and Martin is aboard.
Martin had a good swing at the 2-0 fastball, tried to pull it, so El Duque tries to get the outside corner and keep the ball away from Martin, and you see he gets it off, and that's a big pull there by Posada. Watch his hand. Watch how much he tries to pull this ball. I mean, you're not going to get any umpire to get that call when you move it that much.
In his career, Alex Rodriguez is 2 for 12 with 6 strikeouts against Orlando Hernandez.
You can expect both sides, both teams, to have a better idea of how to attack these pitchers, because this is the second time they've seen them in this series, and they know what they tried to do to them and how they were successful last time, so they will try to make adjustments. I think if you're hitting against El Duque, you have to try to hit him early in the count. Try to pick out the fastball and jump on it early in the count.
Fouls it back on the first pitch.
And that's one of the things that Lou Piniella felt his team was not doing early in this series. In hitters' counts, they were not aggressive, not trying to take advantage of the pitchers. But you go up there, you pick out a pitch. So I'm going to look for a fastball in, or I'm going to look for a breaking ball. And if you get it, then you try to drive the ball.
The 0-1 to A-Rod. Martin is running. Line drive. Fair ball down the line. Martin heads for third. Rodriguez should have a double. Martin's being waved home by Boa. He's going to score, and it's 1-0 Seattle.
And that's what we're talking about. You see Rodriguez more aggressive, attacking the ball rather than just trying to hit a line drive someplace. Very aggressive, and the base hit he got Sunday really was a similar base hit, and then he pulled the ball. He jumps on this fastball. See, there it is, a fastball, and he just really clubs it down the left field line into the corner, and Martin scores easily. He's off with the pitch, and he scores easily from first base. And the Mariners have scored quickly, and they have a runner in score position for Edgar Martinez.
Coming into tonight's game, Orlando Hernandez had allowed only 8 runs in 8 previous postseason starts. Seattle gets to him for at least 1 in the first. Strike 1 to Edgar.
Edgar Martinez and A-Rod are 2 right-handers that are going to have to hit him, but they have a lot of left-handed support in this lineup. I expect them to at least attack him a little better than they did in the first ball game.
The 0-1 pitch is lined to left. That's in for a hit. Seattle tacks another one on. Martinez wants a double as Rodriguez scores. Back-to-back 2-baggers by their 3 and 4 hitters, and they rough up El Duque in the first.
Another high pitch from El Duque. The pitch to Alex Rodriguez was a high fastball over the middle of the plate. This is a breaking ball, a hanging curveball. See, it's just rolling. It doesn't do a lot. It's not the sharp breaking curveball that he normally throws. Edgar didn't hit this ball that hard, but he pulled it down the line. Hit it toward the end of the bat. It was a little bit out in front, but he gets the job done, and the Mariners are off to a quick start. And this is what they needed to quiet this crowd and to give themselves some confidence in Game 6.
And they are hushed at Yankee Stadium right now as Olerud stands in. Ball 1 to Olerud, who hit .285 for the year. Had a single, a homer, a sacrifice fly, and was robbed of a home run by Bernie Williams in Game 5 Sunday. 2-0. Despite falling in a 3-1 hole in this series, Alex Rodriguez and company overall, regular and postseason combined, have won 8 of 15 against the Yankees. They're not lacking in confidence here. In the air to deep center. Bernie Williams is going to track it down. Martinez tags at second, moves to third with 2 out.
You can watch the pitches from El Duque, and all of them are up. The ones he was hurt on by Edgar Martinez and A-Rod was up. This pitch is right there in the middle of the plate. John Olerud just does not hit it well, but he had a good pitch to hit. El Duque is giving the Mariners a lot of good pitches to hit here in the first inning.
Now the right fielder, Raul Ibanez. Ibanez is in right, Martin in left, and Stan Javier is in center. Defensively, Lou Piniella is giving up a lot by benching Cameron. In exchange for another left-handed bat. Swing and a miss, strike 1.
Lou feels that he has to score runs here at Yankee Stadium, and I agree with him. I actually like the lineup changes because I think it's a psychological thing for El Duque to look, and every time he looks up in clutch situations, it's a left-handed hitter.
1-1 to Ibanez. Mike Cameron, Jay Buhner, David Bell, Ricky Henderson, among others, riding the pine at the outset of Game 6. A ball and 2 strikes.
But if you notice, most of the pitches are up. Even though he gets away with this fastball, it's still up. It's up high enough that Ibanez can't catch up with it. That pitch is 5 or 6 inches lower. Ibanez hits it, and I'd have to think that he was trying to get that pitch down because there was only 1 strike on Ibanez.
El Duque's 1-2 offering is up and in. In his Game 2 start, which he in effect left after 8 innings of work, trailing 1-0, then the Yankees rallied with 7 in the bottom of the 8th to make him the winner. The Mariners had scoring chances in 5 of their 8 turns at bat against Hernandez and just couldn't come through with runners in scoring position. The first inning tonight, a different story. And the 2-2 pitch. Full count.
Bob, psychologically, 3-0 seems like it's twice as much as 2-0 when you're in a deficit. It's only one more run, but there's something about 3 rather than the 2 here in the first inning.
Called strike 3. Martinez is stranded at third, but doubles by Rodriguez and Edgar Martinez produce 2. To the bottom of the first in the Bronx when we come back.
His pickoff move is as effective as Andy Pettit's.
Alamo went 14-9 for the year. 2 of those 14 wins at the Yankees' expense. He didn't leave New York with his teammates to go back to Seattle. They knew if he pitched again it would be in Game 6. Meanwhile, over the weekend, his sister Barbara got married. So he attended the wedding on Saturday, and even though he is a self-professed non-baseball fan, says he loves to play the game but seldom watches it, doesn't read about it in the newspaper, he admitted that he watched the games over the weekend to follow the fortunes of his teammates, and I guess as much as anything to find out if he was working tonight. A strike to Knobloch. He's cooled off in the last couple of games. 0 for 8 in games 4 and 5. One and 1. I mean no disrespect to Chuck Knobloch, but what you're looking at here is part of baseball's problem. After every pitch, Chuck Knobloch steps out, does some sort of personal inventory, and then gets back in unchanged from the previous pitch. Skies one down the line and right, chasing it into the corner. It's deep back there, and the catch is made against the 314 sign by Ibanez. It wasn't hit terribly well, but just 314 down the line pressed Ibanez back to the wall.
It's a fastball away, and he pops it up. Actually, it's just a pop-up, and you mentioned it's only 314 down the line, so it comes in very quickly. Ibanez goes back and has to make a pretty good play as you see the ball drifting back toward left field. Ibanez gets in the corner, and there it is drifting back. And that was just a pop-up, so it tells you if anything hit down the line here in the air has a chance of getting out.
So now Jeter, 339 for the season, 333 with a couple of homers in this series. A ball from Halama. Just to continue on the previous point, watch Bernie Williams after every pitch. Tino Martinez, 3-4 practice swings in between every pitch.
I think it's something that players have just developed. They just take more time, and maybe they're trying to get their concentration together, but it does add a lot of time to a game.
Along with the smaller strike zone.
Correct.
And pitchers nibbling, 2-0, 3-1. Another drive to right. Ibanez back to the track. Busy first inning for him.
He hit that one off the end of the bat, so really not a chance for it to carry. And watch where this ball strikes out toward the end of the bat. And that's the reason that that ball stayed in the ballpark. We saw him hit a home run into right field in game 2, but that was on the fat part of the bat. That was right out there on the end.
So you put it all together, along with the lengthy breaks between innings and during pitching changes, and this is how you have 2-0 games that last almost 4 hours. As we said earlier, baseball's leisurely pace has always been one of its assets. A lethargic pace is an ongoing problem that's reaching epidemic proportions, and I think everybody in baseball is aware of it and concerned about it. Let's see what they can do about it. Ball 1, the count to Justice.
Well, the Mariners offense did their part. They gave Halama a lead early in this ballgame, which was very important. Now it's up to Halama at least to get through the first couple of innings without the Yankees scoring any runs, and that will give his team a lot of confidence as well as build his confidence.
That one's in there, 2-1.
There you see David Justice 0 for 4, 1 for 4, 2 for 5, 1 for 3, and a big 0 for 5 in game 5. And he has not been as consistent as he normally is. Justice is a very good hitter, even against left-handed pitching.
Before Halama threw a single pitch, the Mariners had given him more support than they gave him in the whole game last Wednesday here. He took the mound, staked to a 2-0 lead. 2 out, nobody on, and his 2-2 pitch. Swerves outside.
Lou Piniella made a funny comment before the game today. He said, looking back and having it to do all over again, he probably wouldn't take Halama out in the 6th inning at the start of the 7th inning. If he's pitching that well today, he's going to stick with him a little longer.
Although in fairness to Lou, Halama has been a 6 and at max 7-inning pitcher all year. Another high fly ball into shallow right this time. Ibanez comes in and takes care of the entire inning. After 1 at Yankee Stadium, Seattle trying to force a game 7, leading it.
Third base, number 8.
This live view is courtesy of the Bud One airship, seen by millions on its ongoing Goodwill Tour. Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Carlos Guillen is the first man up at the top of the 2nd. He'll be followed by Mark McLemore and Dan Wilson. Strike 1 from Hernandez.
And I think Hernandez's goal this inning should be to keep the ball down. That's what got him in trouble in the 1st inning. He needs to stay down with his pitches.
Inside with that one. Brocious in close at 3rd. Rolled foul, 1-2. While we have a chance, Orlando Hernandez is the subject of the SAP player profile.
208 opponent average, 1.21 career postseason. Pretty good.
And his 1-2 pitch, way high. His half-brother Livan Hernandez notched a victory in this postseason before the San Francisco Giants were knocked out by the Mets. He's now 5-0 in the playoffs and World Series. So combined, the Hernandez brothers are 12-0. That's unreal. Full count. That's where El Duque ranks, with some others who have never been defeated in the postseason. And some, like Gomez, Combs, and Pennock, never will be. Their records are safe. Whitey Ford won 10 postseason games, all of them in the World Series, but he was beaten 8 times. He was 10-4 at one point, lost his last 4 World Series decisions. Dave Stewart, 10-6. John Smoltz, still active, 12-4. Orel Hershiser, 8-3. They're among the leaders. The second walk issued in this game by Hernandez, and that's about a full game's quota. He averages about 2 walks per 9 innings of work.
Well, at least he gets the ball down in this sequence, down for a strike. Another fastball below the belt. Just stay below the belt. Curveball down. That's the pitch that he's going to have better control of. Make sure he throws strikes with the curveball. High fastball. Then he misses with a low fastball to walk him. So that's the problem that he's having, is his control right now. He's up or he's off the plate inside with the left-handers.
He's working on an extra day's rest because of the days built in for travel. 5 days rest instead of 4. Any factor?
Well, he probably likes to work on 4 days rest, and sometimes they feel a little too strong at the beginning of the ball game. That could be the reason he was getting up. But most of these pitchers have had to adjust sometime during the season, so I don't think he's been on a constant four-day rotation the entire season. I'm sure there were times during the season where, because of rain or because of injury, he was given more than his normal 4 days rest.
Ian at first with nobody out. Easy toss over. And now Posada out to talk with Hernandez. El Duque was only 12-13 for the year, and his ERA was 4.5. In fact, he came into the playoffs with 2 losses and a no decision in his last 3 outings. But in October, he's 2-0. With a win in the division series against Oakland and in game 2 of this series against Seattle. He still hasn't come to the plate. Now he does. And that's strike 1 to McLemore.
If you're Lou Piniella, what you're trying to do is get a lot of these left-handed hitters into hitters counts so that you can put a hit and run on. He's not going to sit around and wait for things to happen. He's going to try to make things happen.
As you see, Yankee pitchers were much more stingy early in the series than of late with the walks. High and away, 1-1.
And that's one of the things Lou Piniella talked to me about. He said the Yankee pitchers were throwing strikes, which was causing them problems. He said because they're used to, their on-base percentage is very good because they get a lot of walks, they get deep into the count, and then they can put their hit and runs on or do anything they want. And the Yankee pitchers were not allowing them to do that.
There he goes on the 1-1 pitch. It's a pitch out. He falls down in between. They've got him hung up. And goodbye. A misadventure for Guillen, and he's erased.
Well, the bench calls the pitch outs. They call a pitch out here to throw down. And what happened was Guillen tried to stop and go back. He probably should have continued on through. He may have had a chance to make it. And watch, he'll stop when he sees that the hitter can't swing the bat. But he's out easily as the throw goes back to first base.
Now McLemore punches one to the opposite field, and Justice takes it.
That still will not stop Lou Piniella from hitting and running and putting runners in motion, because he knows he has to do that in order to continue scoring runs here. That was a good, smart move by the Yankee bench. Or they read a sign from someplace. A lot of times you can read the base runner and he will give it away, or the hitter. So someone picked it up and called the pitch out.
Here's Dan Wilson, the catcher, hitting 9th. Swinging and missing. I wish I didn't have to report this, but Dan Wilson's 2 for 58 is the lowest playoff and/or World Series batting average of anyone with an appreciable number of at-bats in the history of baseball. And it gets worse. He's 0 for his last 40. So in retrospect, the 2 for 18 he was sitting on looks pretty good. And the 0-2 pitch.
We talked about all the different release points that El Duque uses. He doesn't seem to be able to find one that's comfortable for him at this point. A lot of pitches up, then some too low.
Wilson spoils that one.
He dropped down, way down to the side on that fastball. Watch this motion here. This is what you call a sidearm fastball. Gets it toward the outside corner. This is not your Laredo, not way down, but he drops down to the side and throws a fastball.
Two and two.
One other thing I'm noticing is this: his breaking ball is not as fast as it was in game 2 when he pitched. If it's not quick, the hitters can lay off of it. If it's slower, they have time to read it and see that it's a breaking ball and not chase it.
Dan Wilson has been asked about his hitting woes, and he says the right things. He says catcher is such an important defensive position. I just have to compartmentalize things and put the hitting behind me and do what I can for my team behind the plate. Did he go around? He did. He strikes out. The second strikeout of the night for El Duque. A scoreless top of the second. Still 2-0 M's. RBI doubles from Alex Rodriguez and Edgar Martinez in the top of the first have given Seattle a 2-0 lead, which they take to the bottom half of the second. Bernie Williams, Tino Martinez, and Jorge Posada, the hitters for New York.
And Bernie Williams has really been the only Yankee hitter to get good swings at every pitcher that he's faced. He swung the bat very well the entire series.
And the numbers back you up, Joe. John Halama, Brooklyn product. Family still lives in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. Back to work in the second. Said he never visited Yankee Stadium, not even once. Never attended a single game in this ballpark as a kid. Said he went to Shea a few times. He wasn't an avid baseball fan, but he said he would call himself a Met fan. He especially liked the '86 World Champions. He hopes his next start is against the Mets. 1-1 to Bernie Williams. How would the Mets feel if, after all the anticipation of a Subway Series and being fairly sure that they'd never have to board a plane until everything was over with, Seattle comes in here and wins 2 more, upsets the Subway Series apple cart, and forces the Mets to fly to Seattle at least once and probably twice.
Well, Bernie Williams has had a tough time against Alama. He is 0 for 12 in his career.
Not anymore. First hit for the Yanks.
And Bernie has been sitting on the balls really well. By that I mean not a lot of movement from the left side or the right side. He just gets right there. He stays there, keeps his head on the ball, and just hits it right back through the middle for a base hit. But he has been swinging the bat well the entire series. He had one game where he didn't get any hits, but he was still swinging the bat well.
Tino Martinez had a playoff hitting streak of 8 straight games prior to the last 2. He went hitless in games 4 and 5, a combined 0 for 7. The man Tino replaced a few years ago as the Yankees' first baseman, Don Mattingly, threw out the first ball tonight and received a huge ovation. Williams chased back.
And I think a good job by Williams, because that's what he wanted to see. He wanted to at least see a throw to first base. He was faking. He had basically a one-way lead. A one-way lead means you're going back to first base. You're not trying to steal the base. You're just getting out there trying to draw a throw.
Foul back. 0-2 to Tino Martinez. This was the scene just prior to the game. Don Mattingly to the mound, getting loose. And the man they used to call Donnie Baseball in these parts delivers the ceremonial first pitch. his prime was not as long as that of many other great players, but for a 4 or 5 year stretch, he was so good with the glove and a consistent 300+ hitter, 45 or so doubles a year, one of the game's best. The 0-2 pitch, long drive, but foul.
Alama throws a fastball up and in. Really, there's not much that Tino can do with that except pull it foul. The only way you can keep that ball fair is if you pull through with your front arm, and most hitters, including Tino there, rolls his top hand, and it's going to hook foul.
Another 0-2 pitch. Lined hard, short hop by McLemore, should turn it into a double play, and there it is.
Well, the Mariners get a break there because Tino was right on that breaking ball, but he lines it in front, right in front of Mark McLemore. Anyway, if he pulls it, it's a base hit, but he hit it right at him. McLemore fielded it and threw it to second base, and they could come up with a double play. Good job here by McLemore. You see he stays down on it, and he uses his body to catch it. You always try to smother the line drive, whether it's going to be short hop in front of you or it bounces way out in front of you. Just try to smother it. And he did a good job there.
Here's Posada, the switch hitting catcher. Ball 1 to him. Only 6 of Posada's 28 regular season home runs came from the right side. His power slipped noticeably in the season's last couple of months. He's still done the job behind the plate. But could he be wearing down in terms of his offense?
I don't think there's any doubt that he's wearing down a little bit, Bob, because remember that this is his first year of being the everyday catcher. He shared those duties with Joe Girardi before, so he was getting a lot of rest. So he was going to stay strong all year long. But when you have to catch every day, as he and Mike Piazza catches up with you.
Lines one to right. Ibanez over to take it. No runs, a hit by Bernie Williams, but he's erased on a double play. And thus nobody is left. After 2, still 2-0.
The fact that his curveball was a little slower and that the hitters were taking time to read it. So what does he do? He goes to the slider, which is harder, and gives the hitters less time to decide. See, the tight spin on the slider means it's traveling faster, it gets there quicker, and they have less time to read it, so they have to react quickly. And that's when you'll get hitters to chase pitches out of the zone. The slow curveball will not be effective against the left-handed hitters in this instance.
Top of the order in the top of the 3rd. Javier to start it. He bounced to Brocious at third base in the 1st. All the talk about a Subway Series. Lou Piniella was joking before the game. How about an all wild card World Series? The Mets were the National League wild card. The Mariners are trying to be the first American League team to make it to the World Series as the wild card. The Marlins won it in 1997, coming out of the wild card slot. Seattle's the first team ever from the American League West to be the wild card. Prior to this year, all the wild card qualifiers in the American League came from the East. It was always the Yankees, the Red Sox, or the Orioles.
CL Duque uses his pitches to set hitters up. He doesn't really have a pitch that he can just dominate you with, like Roger Clemens' split finger or his overpowering fastball. So what he does, he'll throw a couple of breaking balls away, and then he tried to jam stand. He missed on the inside corner. Now he'll go away again. So that's what he has to do. He will set the hitter up by changing speeds, using both sides of the plate, and that's when he's effective. Here's a fastball. This is running away. He threw a fastball in, gets Stan looking in, so now he tries to throw a fastball tailing away.
That is 2-2 to Javier. Rolled foul.
There's a couple of ways that you can keep a hitter off balance. That's what pitching is. Pitching is keeping the hitter off balance. You can do it by overpowering him, as Roger Clemens did on Saturday. He threw an overpowering fastball and had a great split-fingered fastball. or you change speeds and use both sides of the plate. Roger Clemens did not have to use either side of the plate. He just threw it for a strike, all of his pitches, because they were overpowering. El Duque has to use both sides of the plate with his fastball, with his curveball, and his changeup.
Bouncing ball backhanded by Martinez. El Duque covers and they get him.
Nice play there by Tino. And you see a lot of infielders doing this now. They use their foot to stop themselves. They'll drop down to one knee to stop their momentum. See, his momentum is going toward right field, so he slides, comes up. Now it makes it easy to turn around and feed El Duque as he covers first base. Right here, if he takes the ball and continues to run towards second base, it's going to make it a difficult play. So you go to a sliding stop, get up, and now it's an easy play.
One out in the third. And here's Martin, who walked and scored in the first. Former Pirate and Padre hits out of that open stance. A power threat, especially at Yankee Stadium. Cuts and misses on the fastball. You were talking about the differences in approach between Hernandez and Clemens, but one thing they definitely have in common: presence.
Correct.
They have tremendous presence on the mound.
You know they're out there. You're right. I mean, they get your attention every time they step to the mound.
Popped up back of the plate. It'll stay in for Posada. And that's the second out. And folks, you can go in depth on tonight's ALCS game by logging on to MSNBCSports.com. Comprehensive coverage includes streaming video of post-game press conferences and audio interviews with key players from each team. And be sure to check out extensive coverage of the upcoming World Series, including special interactives and multimedia, all at MSNBCSports.com, the official website of NBC Sports. So here's Rodriguez, who smacked a double down the left field line to get the Mariners going in the first.
And both Rodriguez and Edgar Martinez took advantage of El Duque in the first inning when he was up with his pitches. He hit a high fastball, and Edgar hit a high breaking ball to plate the 2 runs.
Martin, who had walked, was running on the pitch to Rodriguez, so his double down the left field line scored Martin easily from first. El Duque gets ahead of him 0-2.
From a hitter's perspective, it's natural that you go up there after you've hit a double off of a fastball looking for a breaking ball. So what does El Duque do? He starts him off with 2 fastballs to get ahead in the count. Now he can try to get him to chase the breaking ball if he wants, or he may come up and in with another fastball. He has a couple of ways to go here.
Hernandez has walked 2. He's struck out 2. And he trails by 2. Down and away.
When you get ahead 0-2 of a good hitter like Alex or Edgar, 0-2, you'll probably see El Duque take 2 pitches or maybe 3 before he tries to put him away. He will throw the slider he did there to try to get him to chase one, and then he'll decide whether he wants to use the other part of the plate, try to get him to chase another fastball off the plate. But he will try to get him to chase something before he goes with his pitch that he wants to get him out with.
He got him out with that one, his 3rd strikeout.
When he throws the fastball up and away, that's exactly what he wanted to do, get him to chase something out of the zone. The Mariners lead 2-0.
By clinching on Monday, the Mets have their pitching all lined up. And I guess they would throw 2 left-handers, especially at Yankee Stadium, if the Yankees win the American League pennant. You like the edge of having a lefty here. If they stayed in rotation, it would be Leiter game 1 and Hampton game 2, although Hampton is rested enough to start the first game, and they could hold Leiter back for Sunday. Big ifs, though. The Yankees have to get there first.
Right.
Paul O'Neill had only 10 extra base hits in his last 200 at-bats of the season for Joe Torre.
I think that's why they have pinch hit for him, Bob, in situations where you need to drive the ball and hit the ball out of the ballpark.
He bounces this one back to Halama. And yet the fact the man they pinch hit for him with, Glenn Allen Hill, didn't come through on either occasion and now is 1 for 14 in the playoffs, has revived talk that if they make the World Series, Jose Canseco might be reactivated.
Well, this is what O'Neill has been doing the entire series. Watch, he gets off balance, and all he can do is extend out and hit with his upper body. But a lot of this, I think, has to do with the fact he had the bad hip, and he got a lot of bad habits from playing while he was injured. But he doesn't drive the ball nearly as well as he did before, and I guarantee he's injured still.
I don't recall him even reaching the warning track at any time in this series, and he's under 200 for the series. And he's been such a warrior through the years and such a contributor to Yankee success.
And he's been such a good hitter. I think that's the key. He is a good hitter. He knows how to hit, but he's not able to drive the ball right now, and I think there are a lot of physical, reasons for that. When you play injured, you develop a lot of bad habits.
1-1 to Soho. You may have heard us mention this on Sunday, but Joe Torre told us, and subsequently it was in all the papers, that if the Yankees make the World Series, he'll take his chances, and in the National League Park without the DH, Shea Stadium in this case, he will play Chuck Knobloch at second base. He'll DH him here at Yankee Stadium and continue to use Soho in the field if the Yankees win one more against the Mariners and face the Mets in the World Series. Fouled away, and the count is full. And Soho works a one-out walk. The first walk given up by Halama.
He starts him off with a strike, perfect pitch, low and away. Tries to hit that spot again, and he continues to miss outside. And then Soho fouls his fastball off. It was away also, and then he misses down.
Halama is 28 years old. He's 6'5" and 200. Went to Bishop Ford High School in Brooklyn. Started out with the Astros, a 23rd round draft choice back in '94. A strike to Brocious. Then he was part of the deal which sent Randy Johnson from Seattle to Houston. And the Mariners, who didn't appear to have much leverage with Johnson forcing the trade, got a lot in return, as it turned out. Two of their starting pitchers, Halama and Freddie Garcia, and Carlos Guillen, who's their starting third baseman tonight. The 0-1 to Brocious. Got the corner.
And Halama's been able to keep the ball down, even though he's walked a hitter, but he's been able to keep the ball down right around the knees. Good pitch here. And he's trying to get a ground ball anyway, so you throw the sinker down, and Brocious takes strike two.
Soho a short lead at first. He's not a threat to run. Called strike three. Brocious walks away muttering to himself. And maybe that last one, for all you lip readers, was something more than a mutter.
Well, he was looking for a fastball away. You see, Dan Wilson does frame it a little bit. We'll take a look from this side.
He may have a gripe.
Yeah, he did frame it.
You may be right in this case, Scott. It's the first strikeout, though, for Halama. Ball one to Knobloch. Soho now at first with two down. In the first, Knobloch sent a fly ball down the right field line, which pinned Ibanez against the 314 sign for the catch. Remember, in Game 4 of the World Series last October, Joe, you and I were here, and Knobloch hit a home run on a ball quite a bit like that.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the turning points of that series, because I always felt like if the Braves could win one game, they could get back into the series. But the Yankees did not allow it. It swept them.
It's so cozy down that right field line that even a right-handed hitter, if you get it up in the air, and as long as the wind isn't blowing in, it's got a pretty good chance to go out. Knobloch's ahead on the count, 2-0, and takes a strike. You can't blame Torrey for wanting to keep his bat in there, even if it means playing him in the field at Shea Stadium if the Yankees make the World Series. Torrey knows that Knobloch, in 3 World Series, the last 2 years as a Yank and 91 as a rookie with the Twins, has hit well over 300.
Well, you see Halama starting to really struggle with his control, and you couldn't expect him to pitch as good a game as he did in Game 2, but he has a lead and he doesn't have to be quite as careful as he did the entire ball game in Game 2. But everything now is down or just off the plate outside. If you're the catcher, you're just going to have to make him raise his target a little bit.
Olerud letting Halama know that he's going to play off the bag. And the 3-1 pitch is popped up. Olerud wants it, and the Yankees are gone in the 3rd. The 2 runs they got in their first turn at bat are holding up so far. 2-0 Seattle. Back after these messages and a word from your local station. Orlando Hernandez starts the 4th against one of the guys who hurt him in the first. Edgar Martinez had an RBI double that made it 2-0. He'll be followed by Olerud and Ibanez. That one bends in there for strike 1.
And he started both A-Rod and Edgar off with pitches that they got base hits on in the first inning. He just made better pitches with them. That was a curveball there that he hit in the first inning, but that one was down.
0-2. El Duque was asked recently about pressure, considering the fact that he seems so cool and composed in tough games. He says, no, I feel pressure every game. What I never feel is fear. Struck him out on 3 pitches. Number 4 for El Duque.
And this is what you expect from El Duque, is to get ahead in the count. Here's the slider instead of the curveball. So he doesn't have as much time to wait to see if it's going to stay in the strike zone. He threw him a curveball to start the at-bat off, but this slider forces him to react quickly, and it's off the plate outside.
Olerud fly to deep center his first time up. Strike 1 to him. Am I the only guy with the feeling that El Duque is settling into a groove?
No, you can see that he's now getting the ball down. He was up in the first inning, but it cost him 2 runs. Now all of a sudden he's getting the pitches where he wants. He's been able to find his rhythm.
And he's fanned 4 of the last 8 hitters he's faced. He's one of those guys. Subway strikeouts being posted in anticipation of a Subway series. He is one of those guys, if you can be impartial about it, you're not rooting for either team, you're just a baseball fan, you have to love watching him work. He is a high kicking, swashbuckling son of a gun. And his 2-1 pitch is fouled away.
That's what we are.
Well, it goes without saying. Oh, baseball fans.
Impartial, yeah, you said impartial, whatever.
No, I was kind of fancying myself as a swashbuckling son of a gun, but I guess I got carried away. And I soon may be led away.
And the fans are starting to get into his strikeouts. Every time he gets 2 strikes on a hitter now, we get a little response. They had been quieted down.
A line drive toward right center field. O'Neill is in pursuit. He won't get there. It'll go to the wall. Olerud on his way to second, and he'll stop there with a 1-out double.
This looks like the same pitch he had in the first inning, but he popped it up. Exact same pitch. Fastball is moving away from him a little bit. And Olerud lines it into right center field. Paul O'Neill not able to run it down, and Olerud has a 1-out double.
Third Seattle hit, all of them doubles. Ibanez struck out to end the first, stranding a man at third. Strike 1.
And Ibanez is going to have to prove to El Duque that he can handle his fastball. He threw the fastball by him by moving in and out in the first inning. And he starts him with 1 here in the second. And in the fourth.
0-2.
Good backdoor breaking ball. It's a backdoor breaking ball. It starts off the plate outside and just comes back and gets the outside corner. There's a good rotation, and it finds the outside corner.
Ibanez spoils it. Joe Torre says that Orlando Hernandez reminds him in some respects of Juan Marichal because of the wide repertoire of pitches and the variety of arm angles. You faced Marichal and others. Who, if anyone, does El Duque remind you of?
Well, I don't think anyone would ever remind me of Marichal because he had a different style, different kick. He reminds me more of Louis Tiant than anyone else.
And nobody kicked as high as Marichal. The 0-2. He wastes that one, a ball and 2 strikes.
Juan Marichal had all the pitches: fastball, curveball, slider, screwball, changeup, and he threw them all from different angles as El Duque does. But I think he reminds me more of Louis Tiant.
Still 1-2 to Ibanez.
He continues to try to get Ibanez out with a fastball. That was supposed to be up and in. He's fouled off the last 2 fastballs, but he wants that pitch up and in to strike him out, but he wasn't able to get it there.
When you can throw so many different pitches, and Hernandez doesn't have quite as many as Marichal did, but he has plenty. And when, like Marichal, you can throw them from a variety of arm angles with control, that really gives you a dozen different pitches or more.
Correct. And it keeps the guy from guessing because he can throw you a fastball, but if he drops down and throws the fastball, it'll tail away from the left-handed hitter. If he throws the fastball over the top, it'll be like a cutter and come in. So it's the same pitch, a fastball, but it moves in different directions.
Olerud, who doubled, is at second with 1 out. Seattle leads it 2-0 as they bat in the 4th. And another 1-2 pitch to Ibanez. Misses outside.
In fact, they called Louis Tiant El Tiante in Boston. And this is El Duque.
Fellow Cuban.
Yeah.
He pitched on his birthday 6 days ago. The dispute was, should there be 31 candles on the cake or 35? In the air to left, Justice over and toward the line to take it for the 2nd out. Olerud back to second base.
Let's take a look at the different delivery angles from El Duque to Ibanez. That's the high fastball. There's the curveball, the second pitch. Then he comes back with a fastball. And most of the pitches you'll see are fastballs. They're just thrown from different angles. One other curveball and all fastballs away. He wanted to get him out with a fastball, and that's what he ended up doing, getting him with a fastball away.
The birth certificate may have been lost on the raft, but nonetheless, when he arrived in the big leagues, he was no rookie. He was a seasoned performer who had pitched in big pressure games for the Cuban national.